welcome to a new episode of The Brand Called You. I am Arini and I'm with Ashutosh Garg. And today we are discussing how to start a business. If the thought of starting your own business and being your own boss has ever crossed your mind, this episode is for you. Hello, sir.
Hi, Arani.
So, is there a right time or age to start a business?
So let me quote from Colonel Sanders, the guy who founded Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was, I think, in his mid 60s. And he said, believe, dream, try, succeed, age no bar. So therefore, there is no real age when you want to start a business. Start it whenever you have a good idea and whenever you have the drive or the determination to see your idea through to fruition.
You started when you were
I started gardening when I was 46.
Right.
I have known people who have started in their 50s. And of course, a lot of people start in their 20s.
Right. And coincidentally, I was thinking, you started when you were 46. I started when I was 23.
There you are, half the age.
Half the age.
Uh,
So, once you take the decision of starting a business, how important is it to have the support of your family in the entire process?
So you remember that your family has the greatest amount of stake in your success. And when things go right, they're the people who will applaud you the most. When things don't go right, they're the people who stand by you the most. Right? Your family never abandons you when you have trouble, and they also don't overshadow you when you are succeeding. They are only standing by the sideline and applauding. So it's very critical for you to have a buy-in from your family. Now, family is at different stages. So when you are 23, 24 years old, you need support of your parents, your siblings. When you are older and you're married, you certainly need the support of your wife or your spouse. And when you're older and you've got grown-up children, then you definitely need the support of your children. Because they are the biggest stakeholders in your success or failure.
A lot of people start their business thinking that I'm going to be my own boss. So, how is an entrepreneur's life different from a professional's life? Is it drastically different? Do you always be your own boss when you turn an entrepreneur?
So as we were discussing a little while ago, you really are never your own boss because you're always working for somebody, and that somebody could be an employer if you're an employee in a company. If you're a businessman, then you're probably working for people who've invested in your company. You're working for your creditors, you're working for your employees, so you're all working all the time. The difference between working for somebody and being your own boss is that when you are your own boss, the entire success and conversely, the entire failure is towards your account. And in one of my books I have written, which is titled The Buck Stops Here, which is a title that is often misused by a lot of people to say that I'm the guy who finally, the buck stops on my table because I take the final decision. I've said that the buck stops on the table of the person who has to find money at the end of the month to pay salaries to all the people who are dependent on the entrepreneur. So there is really no difference in terms of the careers as you are taking. One is in a large company where you're moving up the ladder. One is as an entrepreneur. But on a lighter note, again, I have often said that as an entrepreneur, you have every right to select whatever 18 hours of the day you want to work in every 24 hours. There is no concept of holidays, there is no concept of weekends, and there is no concept of saying I want to take a day off because you're on duty or working literally 24/7.
Right. So when you actually take the plunge, it's no secret that it's going to be full of challenges.
Correct.
So how do you prep yourself for those challenges?
Well, I think the first and most important prep that you would have is to make sure that you know the business that you're going to get into.
Correct.
I think that's the first and most critical thing. Because if you have a certain romance about an idea and you are not willing to go into tremendous detail or tremendous understanding about that idea, then you're doomed to failing because you haven't done enough hard work. The second thing is you've got to make sure that whatever is your idea is put down in paper into a business plan, and we have spoken about business planning, so that you have charted out your course properly with the bite-sized milestones. And we've also discussed that while it's very good to dream and dream really big, when it comes to what you want to achieve in the next week and the next 1 month and next 1 year, it's better to be realistic. So don't go to sleep every night saying that tomorrow morning I'm going to be a unicorn. There are many, many steps and many difficult paths that a unicorn startup entrepreneur goes through before he or she reaches that milestone. So make sure that you've got your business plan, you've got the right idea, and then most important is that you have the resources. And what are the resources? Resources are basically money and people. So you must have adequate money. You don't need to have huge sums of money lying in the bank, because that will certainly lead to wastage of the money. But you need to have enough money so that you are able to implement your own dream. And more importantly, you need to have the right people who buy into your dream and who are willing to stand by you as you start rolling out your own business.
Right. When I take the plunge and I have started my career as an entrepreneur, uh, is there a way that I continue doing my professional job and while being an entrepreneur? So is there ever a term called part-time entrepreneur?
You know, when you are wanting to start something, for a little while you may want to hedge your bets and say, I have the luxury of a salary coming in from my job, and in a few months, once I'm absolutely certain that I want to go into that particular venture, I will move over. But in the long run, and when I say long run, I mean even a period of 1 year, you cannot be a part-time employee and you cannot be a part-time entrepreneur. Because if you want to be a part-time employee, your employer will not accept it. You know,
Correct.
and if you're at work and your attention is getting diverted all the time with your entrepreneurship venture, you will be caught out very quickly.
Right.
When you're in your entrepreneurship venture, and if you're constantly trying to figure out how do I keep my boss happy where I'm working,
Right.
then your venture will
Correct.
suffer.
Correct.
So sooner than later, you have to take a call. And if you want to be your own boss, you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to jump ship and give your entire time to your business.
Right. That reminds me of an employee we once had. He was working as a designer, and he was also running a gym and clothesline factory, and he was running another coupon kind of business on the side. I don't know how that ended up on the business
Yeah.
side for him. It definitely
know.
did not end well at the job side. So,
In fact,
anyways,
we had a driver
Hmm.
who used to work with us from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening.
Right.
And then he used to go and drive a taxi from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. The
Right.
result was that he was not being able to perform as a driver because he would sleep throughout the day.
Right.
And he wasn't able to drive a taxi because if he got a little late at work, then his taxi work would suffer.
So you're suggesting that you pick one and you put
Correct.
all your efforts into making that a
Correct.
success.
This is one time when I always say you've got to put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. So when you start, how do you plan your funds? So what are the key steps? I know we have talked at length, and you might want to check one of those episodes. But then, what are the key steps that one must take while planning the funds?
So, Arvind, most entrepreneurs, when they start, don't have enough money, which is how the term bootstrapping has come into it. That, you tighten up your boots and try and see how you can manage it as little money as possible. But you definitely need some money. You cannot say that I've got a great idea and now someone will come and give me some money. So therefore, you need to have some money. I have generally seen when you have support of your family, you generally end up getting some money from family and friends, and that should be enough to establish whether your idea, which you're going to pilot in the first 6-8 months, is the right one.
Right.
Once you've got that, then there are many ways to raise money. You could ask friends to come in a little more aggressively. You could go to angel investors. You could, once your business is large enough, you could go to private equity investors. If you've got a brick and mortar business or you're setting up a factory, you could go to banks for loans. So there are many funding tools available. The most difficult part is to get over the first 2.5 years when you're first funding your idea and then taking your idea to its fruition and into the market.
Okay, right. You also mentioned that it's very important to have good people working with you. So how should I go about my first hire? Because what value proposition can I give to the prospective employees?
So again, your first set of employees are really your biggest stakeholders, because they're people who have actually taken that leap of faith and have decided they want to work with you. The day your business is growing well and you're offering careers, etc., many more people will come. Therefore, it's an answer in two parts. One is that you've got to get people who are committed, who will stay with you, etc. And second, they are the people who have bought into your dream and they recognize the long-term benefits they will get by staying with the entrepreneur, because certainly they will not get very high sums of money, because the entrepreneur himself or herself is bootstrapping their business.
Correct.
So very often the first 2 or 3 people become like co-founders, right? Because a co-founder basically means that that individual is willing to spend as much time as you, right, in the business. And then you start to get people who you start to attract with either a small salary but maybe a little bit of stock options, or with the excitement of what can come up in the next 12 months, or with a technology which is so new that they themselves are very excited about the technology.
Right.
So the first 4 or 5 or 6 people that you get into a company are the people with whom your emotional attachment is the greatest. Your personal connect with them is the greatest, and they are the people who stand by you. As the company grows, it's these first set of people who start to get disillusioned the most, because the 5-6 people who the entrepreneur was spending all their time with suddenly now has 100 people working, and these 4 or 5 or 6 people who are there initially start to feel they're not getting the amount of time that the entrepreneur was supposed to give.
Correct.
So then they start to get disillusioned.
Right.
So that is why you see in most startups, the first team of people generally leaves because they say that we don't want to continue working because we no longer have the same atmosphere of a family, etc., etc. So very important to manage your first set of employees very well.
Yes, I think if they stay, I think it's an add-on in certain ways.
Correct.
But you also mentioned earlier, not in this conversation, that it is very important to have a strong management team.
Correct.
To take your startup forward. So your thoughts on that?
So an entrepreneur starts his or her business with a lot of passion, right, with a lot of drive. But no entrepreneur has the capability to be able to give expertise in every single area that is required to build a company. So if an entrepreneur is a tech person, then that individual needs a strong person for finance, needs a strong person for marketing, and needs a strong person for human resources. If there is someone who's very good in marketing, then you need someone who's very strong in technology. So it is this set of people who are strong in their own domains and have enough domain knowledge, who are needed by every entrepreneur. And these are not too many people. It could be 3 or 4 people or 5 people at best, who are part of the top management team, who are able to support the entrepreneur. And more importantly, it is this set of people who should also be strong enough to be able to push back the entrepreneur when the individual is suddenly getting too many ideas and wanting to do too many different things. And it's a good management team, a strong management team that stops the entrepreneur and says, we're going off track, let's stick to our knitting and let's keep doing what we should be doing. So and a strong management team is absolutely critical for any entrepreneur to succeed.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you have learned a lot about how to be your own boss and start your own business. Thank you and see you later. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You podcast. Be sure to visit tbcy.in to join the conversation, access show notes, and discover fantastic bonus content. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Simply search for the Brand Called You. Thank you and see you next week.